Hello and welcome everyone. This is Type V3 with a Figma review of Sword Art Online 2's female protagonist, Sinon. This being Asada Shino's avatar during the Phantom Bullet arc of SAO2. Figma Sinon looks good. Like, really good. Great even. The Max Factory team generally put out great looking figures, especially when it comes to anime characters, but Sinon might be one of their best yet. From my perspective, they've captured every aspect of her perfectly, and I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that the original character design lends itself well to an action figure medium. For starters, the proportions and general silhouette are quite squared off. In fact, her body follows very rectangular shapes. The green outfit is also beneficial to the presentation in that despite being form-fitting, there's enough looseness to it that helps to further blend in the jointed areas. The jacket and muffler create a nice layered look, while the slight tightening of the black bands on her waist give the figure that feminine touch. Combine all this with GoodSmile's excellent paintwork and detailing, and it's tough to find fault with Sinon. I mean, if I had to point out something, it would be her hair. The sculpting is fine, as are the details, yet during the anime, Shinon's hair always seemed to carry a reflective sheen or highlight to it. This Figma does not have that, and even under dynamic lighting, all you'll ever get is the same pale blue appearance. It's probably more of an artistic disagreement rather than an actual issue, though. On the other hand, the face on this Figma is perfect. Notably, those eyes and that serious expression. The Figma team just got the likeness spot on, and there's nothing to complain about. You also get a leftward staring, teeth-clenched expression, as well as a rightward staring, embarrassed face. Those look great too. Although I am a little disappointed that there wasn't a face that utilized her Hawkeye ability. For size, Sinon stands at about the 5¼ inch mark. While she's probably in the standard Figma scale, she is a smaller character to begin with, and thus will appear as such. For articulation, Shinon's head is on a Figma joint, so you go up and down pretty good. Side to side's great. There's good tilting too. If you want a bit more range, what you can do is remove the muffler, and now you have more range, specifically in the lower neck region. The only problem this brings is some reports say that she may have an overly long neck, or that it kind of reveals more of the joint, and that can look a bit awkward, but to me it seems fine. Moving on, there is a Figma joint in the torso right here. It's well hidden. I love where they place that cut. It just seems very natural. You can roll it pretty well. The backwards bend is far greater than the forwards bend though, so that's my only drawback there. There is a joint at the waist. However, the belt sort of limits how far you can move it, but it's okay because she doesn't really move basically anything further than what this is kind of makes it seem unrealistic, so I'm okay with that limitation. As for the muffler on the back, as you can see, they're just Figma joints. These can rotate, they can go in and out, outwards, up and down, wherever you need them to be, they will generally go. For the arm, what you have is a barbell joint, so there's a socket right inside the shoulder, and then there is the other socket, or the other ball that makes up the shoulder joint itself. And this is covered up by some soft plastic here that makes up the very squared off shoulder, and it works pretty well. You can move it in and out, up and down, around, wherever you need it to be. You do have a bicep cut, or a bicep rotation, sorry. You do have Figma joints at the elbow, pretty great bend, and then of course a Figma joint set up for the hand, so that's a ball hinge. It works pretty well if you ask me. Each of the hips are connected on a ball joint, and if you're wondering, this is a T-bar that's inside, so they move kind of with each other every now and then. The only thing is this piece right here. This is a soft piece of plastic, and thankfully it's not connected to the belt, it's actually connected to the top of the thigh, and this sort of moves with the whole leg, and it seems pretty durable. However, I do wonder over a long period in a sort of pose like this, how that will hold up, if that will reshape, if that'll deteriorate or whatnot. Who knows? At the moment, it seems very durable though. You do have a thigh cut right where the shorts meet the skin. That's pretty good. Small Figma joint at the knee, but hey, it works. It gives you plenty of range. And then to finish things off, you have a Figma joint at the ankle. This goes down, up, side to sides, really good. And then of course you have a nice ankle tilt to finish things off. Sinon has some great articulation, and her simplistic outfit leaves the majority of her joints unrestricted, though I do worry about the long-term durability of her pants. On to accessories, and we'll start with the basic Figma inclusions. You get the Figma bag, Figma stand, and Figma hand rack with your standard selection of hands that include open palms and generic gripping hands. For character-specific accessories, firstly there's a pair of trigger finger hands. With these, Sinon can equip her sidearm, the Glock 18C. Sculpting and coloring is simple and effective. There is even a nice effect part that looks great with it. When not in use, the gun neatly stores in a holster located on the rear of her belt. Then there's Shinon's signature weapon, the Hakat 2 sniper rifle. It's expertly detailed and evenly painted, though its strap looks painfully cheap in comparison. Thankfully, it's removable. The gun also has replaceable parts, which include an extended bipod at the front and a shortened stock with extended monopod at the back. For the most part, the figure can hold the rifle fine with the trigger finger hands, but if a prone position is what you're after, the Figma team have a solution for this. Included is a secondary head with shorter hair in the back and a lower placed neck joint. With this, you can have Sinon look directly upwards while in a sniper's pose. I do recommend keeping the muffler on for this though, because the neck gap is jarring. Finally, this Figma includes one last pair of hands specifically for the rifle. The right hand rests over the trigger of the gun, while the left acts as a support. With these, there's not much else you could want out of a sniper toy. Max Factory and GoodSmile have knocked it out of the park with Figma Sinon. This is about as good as it gets for fans of the character who want an action figure representation of her. Presentation is gorgeous, her articulation lets you recreate most, if not all, of her signature poses, and there's a good amount of accessories that make it very playable. Even if you do find a pose you like, I guarantee it won't be long before you wind up changing it. Pricing can be considered a tad high here. At around $50, one might expect a little more out of a figure in this scale. That said, Sinon is that good that honestly, I'm willing to overlook this matter. Besides that, there's not really much else I could have asked for. Whether you're a Figma collector or Sword Art Online fan, this is definitely one to add to the collection. But that's all for me. Thanks for watching, and when SAO coverage returns, we'll find out what happens when you bring a sword to a gunfight.